Cool. Can we get you to start by telling us your name, degree, and year of study, as well as your campaign colour and slogan?
Okay, so my name is Zizheng, and you can call me Oscar. I'm the Master of Project Management in the Faculty of Engineering and IT. So, and I have a specialization is risk management. It doesn't matter. Okay, so my color is orange, and my slogan is for better for future.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool. And just by way of an icebreaker, we're asking all the candidates this. Do you have a favorite USU production of recent times? A favorite review or play or anything like that?
Product, maybe the access discount?
No, so we're talking more about like, for example, like International Review,
Yeah.
POC Review, Arts Review, Law Review, as well as like plays that are put on. Have you seen any recently that you particularly enjoyed?
The market? This afternoon's one?
No, so we're talking about like on stage. It's okay if you haven't seen any.
Yeah.
In which case we can skip it. We're talking.
I think it's a one of them. Isn't it?
The things they hold in the Seymour Centre. It's okay if you haven't.
It's Seymour Centre. Okay.
Yeah, we can move on.
Yeah, maybe the orientations one.
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
We'll move on from that question. Are you a member of a political party?
I maybe not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you a member of any factions on campus?
Faction, no.
Okay. In that case, how would you sort of describe your political philosophy?
Philosophy, as an independent candidate, I think we should think more about the. Actually, I'm a master, so it's some some problems. And I'm from CET. Some problem they think. I think the USU need to have them to change something in the campus life. Yeah. Make the campus more convenient and more suitable to study and live.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could you give us a few examples of sort of where you stand politically? Do you identify with any sort of Australian political parties or political parties from overseas? Would you sort of broadly describe yourself as left-wing, right-wing, centrist, along those lines? Any?
Okay. Actually, I have no idea about the parties or the politics out of the campus. Yes, but I think we need to be a student and be a friend, a classmate of them. We need to do more things for them. It's not like the left or the right or the different party or the different benefits. It's just for the senior uni students and for the campus life.
Okay. So would you describe your approach as politically neutral?
What do you mean?
Would you say that politics doesn't really play much of a role in your, or won't play much of a role in your decision making as a board director if you're elected?
It's not related to other parties, but just the policies from our lives to solve the problem. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Have you previously been involved in any student elections on campus?
Senior uni?
Or elsewhere?
No, not yet.
No?
Yeah.
Have you campaigned for any candidates or supported any candidates in the past?
No.
Do you admire any of the current sort of members of the board, or for example any student politicians associated with the SRC?
You mean the friend of them?
Yeah. Are there any student politicians or
I know a
campaigns
few
that
of
you-
them. I know one or two, but we're just a friends for some party or hangout like this.
Okay. What would you say is your kind of overarching goal or like guiding principle as a candidate and as a potential board director? You said you haven't really identified a political philosophy that is guiding your decision making. Is there one overarching goal that you have heading into this election?
I mean, mine goal.
Yeah, what's the main thing you want to achieve as a board director?
I just want to make the city unit's life better. I think USU can do more things, but not the only one important thing, the only one goal we want to achieve. We want to solve some different, maybe not so big problems.
Okay, so would you say your overarching goal is to prioritize student interests?
Yes, and something maybe they haven't recognized, they haven't think about that, but we need to think for them. We need to change for them. Yeah,
And
to think ahead.
How would you what would you identify as being the main things that need to be tackled? You know, the main problems that need to be dealt with for students.
Maybe not one, just to. I'm not saying that USU is doing something wrong. I just say they can do many things better. Yes, for example, I can give you an example. The stores under the USU, I think they can operate for longer. Actually, the CT students sometimes when they finish their class, they cannot find a place to have food or to buy some paper and notebook like this. So actually, I think we need to offer a place for them to buy something, to eat something after the class. That is, yeah.
What you mentioned that you don't know much about Australian political parties. In terms of the world broadly, do you have any leaders that you look up to? Is there anyone in the world that you admire that you think is a good leader, that is a good example of someone you want to follow?
Actually, my bachelor's degree is financial management. So I think in China, here's a word that if you're in a business, just do the business. So as a potential businessman, I think I don't like the parties or the which leader or something like that. Just to do the things better and service your customers. That is.
Is there a business leader that you look up to? Is there someone in Chinese business or in global business that you think is a good corporate leader?
I don't think so.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
A leader just means he or she have some characteristics. We can learn from them, but there are no one that is a perfect one. So we don't need to follow someone in the world.
Okay.
I think.
You already mentioned just then that you think one of the problems for students is there aren't any shops open after, for instance, CET students finish class late. There are no shops open for them. There are already shops open late during exam season. Fisher Coffee Cart opens late into the night. Subway here right above us opens all the way until 10 p.m. some nights of the week. Is your policy simply to have more shops open late? Because there are already shops that are open late.
Yes, we want to give them more choices. Like we can make different kinds of store in the campus. Yes, maybe some fast food. I just give you an example, so they can have more choices. Why I mentioned CT student? Because most of them have the evening class. Yep.
Sure. Okay. How long have you held an intention? How long have you been interested in running for this position? When did you want to run for it?
Actually, I was a committee of ICUCSA, a club, and I hold some events, and I just build a dance group and a broadcasting group, and a bond with some other committees. So when we just wanna hold this event, we need to pass the flyer. We need to post a poster, but we do it so hard. Sometimes we put the flyer to others' hands or just on the wall somewhere in the campus. We need to do it again and again, but actually the effect is not good enough So I think maybe USU can do more things for the clubs, for the students. Because some events are really interesting,
Sure.
but most of the students cannot gather information
Sure.
from the clubs or the USU. So maybe we can do it better, yes. And we have saw some really problems in the campus, so we want to solve it.
Okay.
Many different reasons, many different problems.
Okay,
We want to
what
solve.
would some of those problems be? Would you see some of those problems? You've already mentioned that one problem is convenience,
Yeah,
one
yeah.
problem is the lack of choice
Yeah.
for evening class students.
Mhm.
What other problems have you identified that the USU can fix?
I think I need to change the word. It's not a problem, it's an issue. Yeah, it's not wrong. Yeah, but we can do it better. For example, our access. Maybe in the future we can get discount from the store out of the campus. I think it's a way. We need to try. We need to try it. So if we can make it more popular or more common in Sydney City, then we can help our students to save them money, to enjoy the life not only in the campus but also all of the city.
Sure. A number of other candidates who are in this election, the 9 others, have a lot of club and society experience. One candidate has currently holds more than 7 executive positions
In
of
Sydney
clubs.
Uni?
Correct. One candidate running against you in this election. You mentioned that you held an executive role in SUXA, in the Chinese Students Association. What other sort of club and society, CNS, experience do you have?
No, just in Sydney Uni, just the association, the Chinese Association. But I have some experience in my bachelor's period. Yeah, there are many experience. Because, sometimes the master students have less time than the bachelor sometimes. And we have so many things to do in the course or in the internship.
Sure.
Or some other things. Yeah, we are so busy I cannot manage so many club and others.
Sure. A lot of other candidates say that the most important characteristic for a board director is for them to have lots of club experience, because most of the USU members are club and society executives and club members.
Yes.
What do you say to the fact that you are not as experienced as other candidates, and therefore you're not as you're not as qualified as the other candidates?
I think the clubs sometimes in some level are same. So I think I have so much experience in my bachelor's school, university. So I can give you some example. I have built a host club and some other associations. So we hosted so many events and the different jobs in the different clubs. So I think the experience is important, and sometimes the the ability is not so important than the attitude. The attitude is the most important things. Yes.
So this year, as you probably know, the spending cap for the election is $700. So you're allowed to spend that much money for your campaign. The USU can provide up to $500 in an election grant. How are you going to raise the money for the campaign? Are you going to have a party where people donate money to your campaign? Are you going to put in your own money? Are your friends helping you pay some money for it? How are you raising the money for your campaign?
I think the election should not spend so much money. Just to print some flyer, poster, A-firm. That's it. We don't need so much money.
Sure. Are you going to then be doing a bigger campaign on social media? Will you have a WeChat presence? Will you have a Facebook presence? Aside from on the ground, will you have any social media campaign?
Maybe the WeChat and the Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Who do you think is the biggest support base for you? Who do you think will come out and vote for you? Are they people you know, your friends, or anyone from from the Chinese Students Association, or anyone from college, or staff members of the university? Who's going to vote for you?
I think it's the group of my friends.
Okay.
Yes. Sometimes my name is Oscar, so sometimes I'm so drama, and like to go to some parties or hang out or the road trip. So when we play, when discussed about the campus life, we can have so many things. All of us agree with that. So I thought I want to do something in the USU. I want to make the campus life better. So if you have some ideas, you can tell me. So I just to do the things for you guys, for the students, for our friends. They can accept my ideas, so they can vote for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Looking at the current USU board, what, in your opinion, are some of its biggest failures or shortcomings in recent times?
Shortcomings. A good questions. Maybe I'm different with others. There's one point that some of them have the support of the party or foundation. I don't know. I'm not so clear with that, but I know somebody have.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it will be harder for me, but I think it doesn't matter. So just vote and calculate the votes.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. If success, we success. Is failure. If I failed, it doesn't matter.
Are there any things that the board has done over the past year? For example, a few things spring to mind: failing to take a stance on the proposed Bachelor of Western Civilization last year, the rollout of universal access earlier this year, the changes to the clubs and societies funding model shortly afterwards. Amongst these things and anything else you can think of, is there anything that stands out to you as something that you would have done differently if you were a board director, or something that that you applaud, that you think was done well? Do you have anything to say about?
You mean compare with the current board directors?
Yeah, so just looking back at what the board has done over the past year, what to you stands out as its greatest achievements, its biggest failures? What do you think, what's your take on sort of the board's general activities over the past year?
So actually, as a common student, I'm not familiar with the current board directors. What did they do? I just know what did the USU do. I don't know if the CEO made that decision or the board director. I don't know that.
You can just talk about the USU broadly.
Yes, yeah. I just think the USU as a whole organization. I don't know who did what. It doesn't matter. I want to do what is important.
But is there anything? Can you name anything that the USU has done that you think was done well, or conversely that you think was done poorly?
I think the market is not bad. You know, the afternoons one.
On Eastern Avenue.
Yeah. Eastern Avenue.
Yeah.
We can hold some market or like some store, some second-hand stuff in the campus. We can have a look. It's environmental friendly, yes, and we can save some money for some students. I think it's a good choice.
What do you think? What characteristics do you think make a good board director?
Board director? I think the most important thing is just to listen to your friends, to your classmates in the senior unit. To do better means you can do something, solve the issue, or to do better. But if you just want to do it by yourselves and just your ideas is not enough. Yes, what they need, we can give them is important. When we discussed with my friends, the students in the senior unit, I can get some creative ideas. I can get some new way to improve. How can we do better? It's a good source, I think.
Okay, so to take one common criticism of the board, or sorry, of the union in recent times, and it's one that's been expressed by quite a few people. The USU recently changed its funding model for clubs and societies, meaning that essentially, particularly for smaller societies, there's often a lot less money available to them to host events and the like. If, for example, a classmate of yours who was on the exec of a society came up to you and told you that this was an issue for them, what would be your approach to solving that issue, specifically the clubs and societies funding model issue?
We will think about that. Maybe in the future, when I am a board director, because the one of the responsibility for the USU is to support the clubs. If they really have this issue, we need to have them. But actually, at least now, I don't know why the USU would change the policy the way to. But you mentioned that maybe here is some reasonable reason. We need to think about them and to think a good way or good approach to solve this problem. I think one of my policy is that to solve the stuffs with the USU Union logo out of the campus, maybe on the online or in some store in the city. We can earn money from this way and support our campus life like clubs. Maybe it's a good choice. I don't know. I need to know the reason. Yeah.
Okay. Given that is quite a sort of contentious issue at the moment, the USU has recently held forums to discuss this with the executives of various clubs and societies. The president of the USU has been present at those events. It's quite a prominent issue at the moment. Have you given any thought to how that should be resolved? Because that's something, if elected, you would probably be faced with quite immediately. It's an ongoing issue.
I think if I can win the campaign, everybody can win the campaign. Is a excellent student is in the uni with excellent student, excellent board director, and as a group, maybe we can discuss to find some particular way to solve these problems. But we need to get more information. We need to know what we can do, what we cannot, and we need to know where is this issue come from. Then we can make the decision. I cannot say we need to go which point. We need to go which way, because we don't have sufficient information.
Okay.
Yeah. Many candidates come into this election. Many of them, as I said, have a lot of CNS experience, a lot more experience than yourself. CNS club and society experience, and a number of other candidates come in after reading about the USU, knowing about its history, or knowing about the issues it faces. Given you don't seem to have much of a grasp on the funding issue currently facing the USU, and given you also don't have much experience, do you think that without knowledge of the USU or any experience that you're disadvantaged compared to the other candidates?
Actually, I cannot understand your question.
Sure.
Some of your description, I'm not agree with you actually, but what I can say is, if we want to do better, I need to know some reason from the CEO, from the board director, from the inner staff, what the information that we can get. Yes, we can use it, but that is not the whole truth. Sure. Maybe sometimes. Sure. Yes, so the only thing I can do and we can do is keep listening to the clubs, to the students in the campus, and learn the knowledge, learn the inner, maybe learn the way that USU used to do, and what we can change.
Okay, sure. You're talking very generally now about like how you would approach the problem.
Yeah.
Before you came into this interview today, did you have any knowledge about any of the issues facing the USU? Did you know about the funding change?
Yes.
Well, how did you come to know about it?
Because I was the committee of a club, and I have some friends in the clubs, and in my policy is one that we need to improve the support for the clubs, not only the money, but also the approach for they can do some promotion. So about the money is it's a sensitive topic. Yes, we cannot say just to give the money to the club, just give more money, or change the way you're doing. It's not fine. It's not fine. Yes, we need to listen both sides, the USU staffs or this organization and the clubs. I know we need more money for the events. If we want to do better, if the clubs want to do better. But is that why the USU should give the money to the clubs? Or maybe USU can change their policy, can change the rule that they get money. Maybe they can get money for some other way. We don't know, right?
Okay, sure. Back earlier, you told us that you're politically neutral, that you don't know much about politics, you don't think politics is very important, you don't think political leaders are very important or anything like that. The USU often makes political decisions. For instance, it phased out plastic straws from all USU outlets, so now USU outlets are required to provide paper straws. That was a decision made on the basis of environmental politics to prioritize environmental care and to look after the environment. Given the USU makes those political decisions, don't you think it's important that you come in and tell voters about your politics, what you believe in? Do you care about the environment? Do you think that the USU should look after poorer students more or international students more, or do you think it's doing fine on those issues? So the question is, don't you think politics is still ultimately quite important for the USU?
What I can say, during the election, we cannot mention all of the points. We cannot mention the environment, the culture, the economies, or everything. We cannot mention everything. What we want to do, what the attitude we have is important, I think. If I can listen to them as I do before the election, I think it's a good relationship. It's a good relationship. Keep this relationship is important. We cannot like Board Director that do the different things between and after the election. I think it's the important. Yes.
Sure.
Okay. So you've kind of established a decision-making process in which you would consult students and listen to their needs in order to make your decisions. What would you do in circumstances in which you're faced with conflicting needs from students? Because in that case, you kind of have to defer to your own judgment, right? You can't satisfy everyone at once. So to use a case study, a couple of years ago during the same-sex marriage plebiscite, the USU came out publicly as an institution in support of the yes vote in the plebiscite. If you had two sets of constituents, two groups of friends who were on the one hand telling you that they did not support the yes vote, that they were going to vote no, and that they thought students should be doing the same. There was another group of friends who wanted the USU to endorse the yes vote, and perhaps even there was a third category who thought that the USU should stay uninvolved and should not endorse either side of the debate. What kind of, how, I guess in this circumstance, how would you describe your social politics? Are you socially progressive? Would you, in that circumstance, endorse the yes vote? Do you see the USU as an apolitical body? Would you abstain from endorsing either side of the argument. That's an example where politics is unavoidable, right? What would you do in a scenario like that?
You mean during the election or after that?
So
be a board director?
So if you were a board director 2 years ago during the same-sex marriage plebiscite, when the union decided to endorse the yes vote, would you have agreed with that decision? Would you have thought it was more appropriate for the union to stay out of it altogether? What's your opinion on that?
Would I make a decision in that I want to find a great agreement with my friends, with most of the students, most of the students, the involved people.
But what
So
if there's two groups of students?
Yes.
Hypothetically, the exact same amount of people, and you had to defer to your own personal judgment in that case. What would your personal judgment tell you to do?
Yes. There will be so much issues. We can put the agreement first, and then to discuss with the disagreement one. This is what I made the decision. I cannot say I support this side or I support this side. And this is what I mentioned. We need more information. We need to do some study in this case, in this topic. We need to know why they think like this and why this side said that. And we need to find out something can support my idea, just like for example, the cases. What did the other board director did, or what did the USU did in the history? Or I can find some cases in other organizations to make references.
Okay, so you're proposing kind of quite an exhaustive, research-heavy approach to making decisions, consulting students.
Yes, we need to give more
about
reason to the both sides.
Yep. As a board director, if elected, you'd be obviously tasked with a lot of decisions every day.
Yes.
And it would not be practicable to consult the entire student body or to conduct exhaustive research on every single issue. Is there any way for students to get a general idea as a representative of the student body as to how you would vote in general? Typically, students will vote for candidates based on their political philosophy because they know as either left-leaning or right-leaning or somewhere in the middle that they can predictably they can predict the way that they're going to vote on certain issues, and they can trust that that's how they'll act. In the absence of a political philosophy, it might be hard for students to know exactly how you're going to vote on every single issue. You're not going to have the opportunity to consult students and be perfectly representative of the student body in every circumstance. You will have to defer to your own personal judgment. How should students conceptualize your sort of
way to vote to make
your decision-making process? Because it's as much as you would like to suggest that it is practical to consult students in every scenario, you will have to make decisions based on your own intuition. How should students get a general sense of what that intuition is?
What intuition I hold, is just we need to make the decision that is benefits to the most student. So sometimes I don't think we can summarize a way that how we make decision. It's case by case, right? So when I make the decision, firstly, as I mentioned, we need more informations, and we need to think, is this a good way or not? Or we have another way. We have 11 board directors in the board, right?
There's 13 in total, including 2 Senate.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
And we, as a group, we make the decision. If I have some good choice, I will vote. If I don't have, maybe I can listen or give up that time in that case.
But should
Do you know what I mean?
Should voters? I mean, what's the point in voters voting for you if you're just going to give up your vote?
I don't mean I give up all of the topic, all of the issue, all of the decision. I just mean case by case. When I cannot make it, I think both sides, or there's no difference, or both of the side is alright, it's okay. It's not which is better or which is worse. Yes, I can let them to choose. I can let them to decide. So as a group, how to make a decision is as what I said.
So you're going to allow your colleagues to make the decision for you?
I just mean as a group, as a board, we need to make the decision together. We need the teamwork. Maybe I'm not good at this topic. Maybe you are the master of civil, or you have the knowledge, or you have the experience. I can talk with you. I can get more informations. If we can have some agreement, or I can understand what you said, I can agree with you. That is teamwork, I think. Just like the case study or the teamwork, the team assignment we did in the course. That's it. Can you understand?
I might pass over to Alan and see if.
Yeah, sure. I think we'll talk about something different. So we'll talk about, I think you're an international student also. So obviously the USU has been trying to engage international students for a long time. The USU has a WeChat page.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you follow it. It was introduced in 2017 after an international student board director called Coco Kong was elected. She ran on a policy targeted towards international students, really helping international students try to get involved in uni, feel included. What policies do you have that help international students?
You mean only the international students?
Only international students, yeah.
Cause the policy we made is just from the benefits of all of the students, not which group. So if you mention the international students, I think maybe there's one idea that I mentioned. We need to. Now it's not just for the international students. I don't think it's which policy is just for the particular group.
Okay, so okay, does that so a number of other candidates also come into the election trying to advocate for better policies to another group on campus, students who study in the satellite campuses, who study at Lidcombe or study at the Conservatorium of Music in the city. All of those students also pay student services and amenities fees, which go towards the union's funding every year. So they equally are part of the union. So does that mean you also don't have any policies targeting group students on other campuses?
I mean, they are same. They are same. They are senior uni students. Like the access. If you can get this kind out of the campus, that means out of the Darlington campus. That means all of the senior students. So I wanna raise up some general questions, general issue, for all of them, but not a particular group.
Okay, sure. Sometimes trying to help everyone at the same time means that you actually don't care for some people as much. So in your policies, you've identified the need for late-running stores. The policies you sent us include reference to 7-Eleven and McDonald's as being potential options.
It's an example.
Example, yeah. Both of them are convenient and found in many places, but 7-Eleven you chose as an example. 7-Eleven in the past has underpaid more than $110 million of employee wages, including, for a long time, underpaying international students all over Australia. Would you partner with a company like that, given their track record abusing and exploiting students?
So actually, as an organization or a company, maybe we have a different way to think about them. A company, which one is convenient to the customers, we choose that one. Because as the student of the senior uni, we are just customers, right? So what how they treat their stuffs is not the things we need to concern about as a board director of the USU.
But you mentioned that students are also customers. As customers who go to McDonald's, for instance, they're not facing a very healthy menu of options. Students who are staying late at uni, trying to get nutritious food, trying to stay healthy, whilst balancing other commitments like their study, they're customers, but they're going to McDonald's and it's not a great option. You've also identified McDonald's as a company you would partner with. Do you think McDonald's is a good choice for student consumers?
It's we cannot say which one is the good choice, which one is the good option. Why I read on the McDonald's, because most of the students I listened mentioned McDonald's and KFC. They want to choose them, so USU choose them. It doesn't matter if they are healthy or not. Somebody can choose the healthy store we have, right? We have the USU coffee. You can choose the salad if you want, the sandwich. If you want the McDonald's, we let them in. We are not parents of them. They are adults. They have rights to choose the store, the food.
So you mentioned that you don't care about Australian politics very much, you don't know very much about it. Back in 2016, a Liberal Party candidate at the University of Sydney, a guy called Don Bondar, ran a campaign promising corporatisation of the USU. He promised a McDonald's on campus, and he was a very right-wing candidate, and he was ultimately unsuccessful in his election. Given the union has a history of being left-wing politically, that it takes views that companies that it partners with should be good for students and should be ethical companies, do you think that these policies about McDonald's or 7-Eleven, regardless of politics or ethics, do you think that this is a very sort of narrow view to take, and it's something very similar to previous right-wing liberal candidates?
I don't think we are the speaker of the whole society. We're just the speaker of the students in campus. For example, if the McDonald's comes in the campus and then the student don't like it, want them to out because of some events happening in the society or the other newspaper or some it doesn't matter. If they want them out, so we let them out. But we cannot say this company did some bad things to their staffs or did some bad thing. They're inside, their leaders fight with each other, so we cannot let this company in. You know what I mean?
Okay, to kind of test your decision-making process, if it was revealed to you through a survey of some kind that the majority of students did not want McDonald's on campus, would you be willing to respect that decision?
Yes, of course, if most of them don't want.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about in an instance in which you've got kind of two conflicting interests? So I'm not sure if you're aware, but last year the Sydney Uni Liberal Club, which is part of the CNS program run by the USU, hosted a talk or hosted an event in which a speaker called Bettina Arndt attended, who is renowned for disputing that there is in fact a rape crisis on campus, contrary to the report of the Australian Human Rights Commission. That event was then protested by the Women's Collective of the SRC. There was a lot of altercations, it got quite violent, the police were called in. The university then charged the Liberal Club over $300 for the security costs of that event. You've got a situation here where, on the one hand, the Liberal Club feels that it shouldn't bear the costs, the security costs, of an event that it hosted, which was protested by another group of students. And on the other hand, you've got students who are saying that in hosting a controversial speaker, the Liberal Party should be liable for any security costs incurred, particularly where those costs are foreseeable. you've got two groups of students in that scenario. One who say we shouldn't be bearing the costs of this security detail, and another group of students saying that they should. How would you go about resolving that? How would you arrive at a decision in that scenario?
I have mentioned that we need more information to a scenario.
Okay, well that's all the information you need, really. There's one group of students who say it's not our responsibility to pay for this security. We didn't cause the protest, they did. And then you've got the other group of students saying no, but they invited a controversial speaker. It was foreseeable that this would happen. They should bear the cost of the security. That's all the information you need. You don't need to. There's no research needed. How would you reach a decision? Would you?
So they're just a two-way.
Yeah,
Support one side and support another
there's
side.
two different options. You can either choose to impose that cost on the Liberal Club, or you can find some other way of paying it. Perhaps the USU itself foots the bill.
Okay.
How would you reach a decision on that?
I felt that we want to get more information. That means we need to negotiate during that scenario. I don't think there are just a two-way to make this decision. Maybe we can reduce the charge. Maybe we can find which part you can take your responsibility and pay that part if you think the charge is over.
But
If
that in itself, so you're proposing that the bill be split between the two groups of students. Am I right?
I think so.
Mm.
Because being the USU is the organization that make a link between the different groups, between students and the university, or between the clubs, between the group of students. What we have them means we need to have both of the sides. We need to have all of them. So we want to find a way up by the negotiation, and to find a way every party, every group can accept. It's a better way.
Okay.
It's not one or two.
It kind of seems like you're kind of blindly applying quite a sort of apolitical approach to dispute resolution or problem resolution. If we were to take a more extreme hypothetical, for example, say there was a club that was discriminatory in choosing who it let in. For example, it was excluding a certain group of students based on any number of factors unfairly, and that group of students came to you and complained that this club was acting in a discriminatory way. How would you resolve that dispute? Would you tell the club that what they're doing is wrong and discriminatory? Or would you allow the club to keep going? Or would you apply a similar approach and, I don't know, allow half the students in? In that context, how would you make a decision?
Firstly, I think how to make the decision for the clubs is the job for the staff in the USU. And how can I make the decision is that we need to listen both of the side. Okay? Not just one person or one of my friends, one club, come here to tell me what they think, what the truth is. Maybe it's not, right? We want them, all of them, to sit down in a table and to talk about these things. If I am the friend of them, I don't mean that as a board director. It's not the job for the board director to solve this problem sometimes. So I just give you an example. If there are two friends of me, a party, what can we solve this problem? Is like them to climb down, to sit down, to say the truth from the beginning to the end, and then find the different responsibility of the different party, different side, and then negotiate to find a better way to solve this problem. We can change both of the sides. It's not one or two. Support which side.
Okay, so
it's not just as simple as that.
Your approach to any kind of decision making will be a kind of, I don't know, like dialectical approach in which you're aiming for the middle ground in every possible circumstance. Is there any circumstance in which you will take one side over the other? Is there any circumstance in which, there's a conviction that you hold that will compel you to choose one side over the other, or will you always play the role of an arbitrator, of a centrist, of someone who takes the middle ground?
Yes, because the first course I take in the senior uni is critical thinking. I then think that the way to solve the problem is to hold to support one side.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think it's the way to think is different between you and me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oscar, I want to give you an example where in some cases you do have to make one decision or the other.
Mhm.
The USU often votes to make decisions.
Yes.
When you vote, you either vote for something
Yeah.
or you vote against it by
Yeah.
not voting or by
But
voting against it.
but if all of the option is not so good,
Then you can abstain. You can choose not to vote.
Yeah.
Right? So you have three
and
options.
I can make this vote be better. I can improve the options.
Let me give you an example then where the options might not be able to be improved. So this year, one of the current board directors, Henji's son, he's missed a number of meetings. He's missed 2 to date. Obviously, as a board director, you have commitment to attend meetings. It's in your duty statement if you're elected that you must go to the monthly meeting, unless you have serious circumstances and a serious excuse. So when a board director doesn't show up to the meeting, the board can vote to accept or reject their apologies. So if you don't come to the meeting, you can send in your apologies, say, sorry, I'm looking after something. And the board can say, we accept your apology, in which case it's okay, or they can reject your apology, which means this counts as an absence, and after a number of absences, you can be kicked off the board. So given the USU board recently had to make a decision where the Henji's son, the board director, was absent to 2 meetings, and the board had to decide whether to approve, to accept his apologies, or to reject his apologies. You can't change the choice there, because the constitution of the USU requires you to either accept or reject apologies. In that specific situation, if you were sitting on the USU board after being elected, and another board director was absent, would you have voted to accept or reject his apologies?
Actually, this point is the truth. Sometimes we solve the problem simply. But how to say? I don't think it is a good way to just to treat what a hard questions or a hard issue like that. I can just say case by case.
Sure. So I can elaborate on the case. So in this case, the board director in question, Henji's son, was absent because he was looking after his own business. He had a business on the side, and he was at meetings for that business. So he chose not to come to the USU board meeting. If another board director is absent from the meeting because they're looking after their own business or their own finances, would you then accept their apologies or reject their apology?
If you ask me the attitude in this case, I can tell you what I will vote. But if you are asking me how I make the decision, I cannot tell you in this case.
I can ask you in this case, how would you vote?
Okay, in this case, actually I think I will vote yes.
You would vote yes to accept his apology?
No.
To reject the apology?
Yeah, to reject.
And why is that in this case?
Why in this case?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good question.
Is it because you think his excuse is not good enough? You think it's not okay for board directors to look after their own business and not come to the meeting? What if the circumstances are different and he's attending a funeral or he's attending his parents' wedding anniversary or something like that, something more important, then would you have accepted the apology?
What I was considering is it might be an issue in the future. I mean, just in this case, maybe it's an issue in the future. There might be more and more board director use this way, because they are earning money from the USU. They need to take their responsibility. They need to do their jobs. So I wanna him in that case to do better.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense. Thanks for
Okay.
explaining that.
It's not the way that how can I. You cannot summarize the how can I make decision. Yeah, it's so because it's different.
Yeah.
Somebody is related.
Sure.
Some issue is related to the future. Some issue is about the history, the past things. So
Okay.
it's different.
I want to take you back to your policies that you've sent us. You sent us 3 policies.
Okay.
One of your policies, the last one, was about career ability and mentoring.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that you want the USU to provide entrepreneurship opportunities. You want them to provide career mentoring. This policy is already done. It's hardly original. The USU has an entrepreneurship and startup program. It's called Incubate, and it's right over there outside this office. The faculty societies in the clubs and societies program, like Sydney University Business School, the Business Society, the Law Society, already run networking nights. They run careers mentoring schemes. And the faculty, the university already runs career mentoring, internship and placement opportunities, including the business school's CEO, Careers and Employability Office, and the arts faculty runs Career Ready. On top of all of that, the USU also offers internship opportunities in its operations and advertises jobs on Career Hub for all of its campus outlets. How is your policy any different in terms of providing career mentoring to what already exists?
Because here so many different clubs under the USU. One of them I know is FMAA. Do you know that?
No,
Financial,
it's AA.
Financial management.
Oh, FMAA?
Yeah, FMAA. So we have some career clubs. We have some clubs are running for their job opportunities or for the job ability. So that means as a club, they have rights to do more things like they want, to do more things for their students to improve the ability to the job market in the future. And what I consider is now is not enough. We want to have the clubs who are running for this topic, this issue, and then we want to find some other way in this topic, in this field.
Sure.
So it's I know that the career center you mentioned. Yes, we have a different job, different duty, different responsibility, but I want to make it in a different way.
Sure.
Maybe it's not the official one. Maybe we can hold a competition or some events. It's not, I think it might be an option. It might be an option in the future. So we want to discuss this topic with the other board director or the staff in the USU. But I think the only thing we do in the campus, at the heart of the campus, cannot be only the having fun or have party, have some market or just a life. We can do in different way. Maybe have them to study, have them to to make themselves better. Yes, we can have more chance, more potential way. We need to find them.
Sure. Also, just a quick question about your campaign manager. Who is managing your campaign?
As Aro Jiashan Zhang.
Zhao Shang? Okay. And have they been previously involved in any politics on campus, or are they involved in any clubs and societies?
This semester is the first semester for him, so
Sure.
have no experience of the have no relations with the different party or the clubs.
Sure.
But he has some experience in the USA, in the high school.
Sure.
So they're a first year student?
Yeah,
Okay. Is that first year master's student or first year?
bachelor student.
Sure. Also, you might remember earlier when nominations were closed and candidates' names were announced that we contacted you about rumours that we had heard that you were a candidate for Panda and that you were related to Jackie He, the current SRC president, through connections in the China Development Society. You told us at that time that those rumours were incorrect and you have never been involved in politics or anything like that. Is that still true today?
Yeah.
Sure. And I think if we have no more questions, that's basically it. I think.
Yeah, maybe just
A little confused.
maybe just one more question, just to wrap things up. Just about the next couple of weeks. How are you feeling about the next couple of weeks? Do you have any concerns? Are you worried at all about any of the other candidates? About any preference deals that might be forming around you? And I guess more broadly, aside from getting elected, do you have any major goals that you want to achieve over the next couple of weeks?
Goals? I just want to communicate with more students, and I'm considering about the assignment is too hard for me now. I have no time to, since I have no time to sleep. Sometimes maybe in the following 2 weeks.
Okay,
Sure.
cool.
Okay. Well,
Right.
I hope you get some rest and thanks for your time.
Yeah.
So-
Thank you. Cool.
Thank you.